Now, the second two elements of emotional intelligence have to do with what's called the social brain. The social brain is actually quite newly discovered. The discovery occurred when neuroscientists decided to go beyond studying one brain and one body and one person, and to look at what happens in two brains when two brains and two bodies and two people are interacting. And they discovered circuits they didn't even know existed. They discovered that the brain is designed to connect. We're wired to connect with the social brain of the other person. It's the only part of human anatomy that is designed to attune to and regulate itself according to the internal state of the other person. The first big breakthrough was something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons were discovered one day when some Italian neuroscientists were mapping the motor cortex of a monkey. And they're doing single-cell recordings. And one afternoon, they were watching a neuron which only fired when the monkey raised its arm. Now, one day, the cell fired, and the monkey hadn't moved. The monkey's arm hadn't moved. And then they realized what was going on. It was a hot day, and a lab assistant had gone out to get an ice cream cone. And every time he took a lick, the neuron in the monkey's brain for doing that fired. That's what mirror neurons do in our brains. Turns out that we have a diffuse set array of neurons that elicit and activate in us a mirror image of what the other person is doing, feeling, or intending. And this is what allows us to synchronize interactions. This is what lets all of the tacit decision rules that let an interaction go smoothly occur without our having to think about it. The social brain operates on the unconscious level, beneath consciousness. But it tells you when a conversation is about to end. In a room, when you've got a group trying to make a decision, social brains know the moment before someone announces it that we've got a consensus here. Because we're reading everyone else's nonverbals all the time. And then somebody says, oh, I guess it looks like this, and everybody nods, and then you can leave. But it's done by the mirror neurons. Another thing that's very important, they find, is that this means there's an emotional subtext to every human interaction. No matter what's going on explicitly, tacitly, we're making each other feel a little worse or a little better, a lot worse or a lot better at this silent level. They looked at top leaders in many different organizations, people who were identified by some hard metric within their organization that they're in top 10%. And they watched how they interacted with other people. And they found, interestingly, those most effective leaders laughed 3 times more. There was laughter 3 times more in that interaction than the mediocre leaders. It turns out there are mirror neurons whose sole task is to spot a smile or a laugh and make us smile or laugh in return. It's like an intimate brain-to-brain connection. It builds rapport. If you look at what's going on during moments of rapport, you're seeing the social brain in action. If you monitor the physiology and neurology of two people's bodies while they're having a conversation, if things are off, we're just not connecting, we're not communicating here, the two bodies the physiology is independent. But when people feel really connected, this is really, I had good rapport, we had good chemistry, you see the bodies are going like this. And I'm talking about heart rate, I'm talking about physiology, I'm talking about autonomic function. We're on the same page. The ingredients of rapport, a moment of rapport, are 3. Both people are paying full attention. You're really attuned. The nonverbals look like a choreographed dance. When I do this, you do that. This is not anything we decide to do unless we're doing, I saw they're offering salsa lessons here, but other than that. But this is what creates a feeling of being well connected. And the third thing that happens, emerges from that, is it feels good. So the key to rapport is to pay full attention and let the social brains do their dance. That creates that chemistry. Some other interesting findings from the social brain. One is I find very fascinating. Women, one by one, are having their brains imaged, and they've just been told they're going to get an electric shock. So you see the HPA axis light up. If someone comes and holds the woman's hand, it quiets down. If a little bit,